We think we know almost everything about George Washington. Before he became the first president of the United States in 1789, he was the general on horseback or crossing the Delaware River who commanded the War of Independence, tearing America away from Great Britain. But did you know Washington also was a stern enforcer who heard of a plot to kidnap or kill him, had more than a dozen conspirators arrested, and arranged a very public execution? It seemed an almost untold story to Brad Meltzer, a TV host and author of best-selling thrillers, who found that what he calls the first conspiracy was barely mentioned in history books.
And I saw it. It said, a secret plot to kill George Washington. And I was like, is this real? Is this fake? What is it? And it was real. It actually happened. George Washington, in 1776, there was a plot against him to kill him. And when George Washington found out about it, he rounded up those responsible. He took the main co-conspirator and he hanged him in front of 20,000 people, the largest public execution at that point in North American history. Brought the hammer down, said, I'm George Washington, don't mess with me, I'm going to be on the money one day. Right? I mean,
the plotter who was executed, an Irish-born soldier, Thomas Hickey, 18 years old. A video game, Assassin's Creed, has a Hickey avatar.
This entire conspiracy, a court-martial, a hanging, as you say, in front of 20,000 people, that's not really well known, in part because just in those days you had the birth of our nation.
Yeah, when you look at the date of the hanging, because that was my first question, like, why does nobody know this? When you look at the date of the hanging, it's June 28th, 1776. Guess what else is happening that day? The Declaration of Independence, first draft is being handed in. The British are literally coming and invading New York City. Here's the first big battle that's going to happen.
By the way, did you find that the plot against General Washington was a foreign plot? Was it the British?
Yeah, no, listen, it was obviously loyalists here working for the British. And at the time, it was the former governor of New York, the former mayor of New York. But this was the part that really blew me away, is George Washington had his own private bodyguards. And he had asked all of his regiments, he said, give me your 4 best men. But they eventually became known as the lifeguards because they guarded George Washington's life. And these were the men who turned on him. These were the men who were involved in this plot.
This story about a plot to kill Washington, you had a chance to discuss with President George H.W. Bush, who recently passed away. Right? What was that about?
Yeah, so we've been very lucky, and we gotten blurbs on this book from President Clinton and from President Bush, and who, of course, read it 8 months ago, almost a year ago. But right before President Bush died, I was in Kennebunkport, Maine, and they said to me that they were bringing in authors, some of his favorite authors, to read to him. And would I like to read to the president? So of course I want to read to the president. Now at this point I know what's happening. I know he's dying. And my wife and I went into his small office, and on his desk is a copy of the first conspiracy. And I said to him, you want to read this? And he was only nodding at that point, yes. And they warned me, they said, listen, you're just going to have 10 minutes. He's going to fall asleep in 10 minutes. I said, that's okay. That would be a wonderful, I put people asleep with my books all the time. And I started reading. And I said, you want another chapter? Yeah. We get to the chapter where George Washington helps present the Declaration of Independence for the first time to the troops, where it's read out to the troops for the first time. And President Bush shoots awake. He's locked on me, like it's lifeblood, like it's part of him, these words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, and it's just this humbling moment. And I said to him, you want another chapter? Mm-hmm. Another? Mm-hmm. And we go another and another. We were there for an hour. And he wide awake right there. And to be able to read about our first president, to at that point the oldest living president, was one of the most humbling experiences of my life.
American presidents from 1st to 45th have stories still to be told. Dan Raviv, I-24 News, Washington.